All right, guys, welcome to the Ravit Show. We have our special guest today, David Kun, on the Ravit Show, and we'll be discussing about his journey, about analytics ops, about the platform ownR, which the company functional analytics own. So we would want to know more about that. But before bringing in David, I would want to give a small gist about him. He's the owner and CEO of Functional Analytics. He worked as an actuary and is known for developing and validating models, automating existing processes, and performing business support analysis. So you guys can ask him questions around analytics ops and data analytics, and obviously about his journey. I am super excited to have David. Let's have him here. Hey, David, welcome to the Ravit Show. How are you?
Hey, Ravit, thank you. I'm great. It's brilliant weather over here. How are you?
Everything's all good. Thanks for joining in. And we have few folks joining in. We have Ayush Agarwal. Hey, Ayush. Hey, Sandhya. So everyone's here. Everyone's here to know about your journey. First things first. Can we know more about yourself, about what you do, where you're coming from, and what's the purpose of being on the show today? And also we'll be talking about your platform. So that's coming up.
Thanks. Well, hi, I'm David. I'm a mathematician.
Awesome.
I hope I'm a data scientist. I'm not quite sure. I have quite some history in financial services mathematics, but then drifted towards more general data science over the years. I'm a co-founder of Functional Analytics together with my co-founder Greg Mark. And yeah, I'm super excited to be here to talk about analytics ops, which is something that you don't hear often because MLOps took all the spotlight. I'm here to correct it.
Oh yes, definitely. Analytics ops. We always hear about analytics. We always hear about data and analytics, that relationship. But analytics ops altogether is a new word to me. After knowing you, obviously, I know a little about that. But today we'll talk a lot about it and about your company, Functional Analytics, about what you do. And so, how old is the company, Functional Analytics?
We started back in 2009, so we are soon celebrating our 12th birthday.
Wow, it's quite an old company. I was just, for me, I always felt that Functional Analytics is a startup. The way you always presented, you always kept it so low key. But it's been years you've been building this up.
Yeah, absolutely. We have started out with my co-founder. Actually, we know each other from high school even. So we know each other for almost 30 years now. And back in the university, we worked together on some research projects.
Awesome.
And we were really discouraged to do that by our professors, which was awful. That the things we were working on ended up being patented by Google later, independently of us. But nevertheless, that was all the encouragements we need. We said, okay, what we are doing is actually interesting and useful, so we should do something more together. And after the university, we decided we should work together. We should do something nice.
Yeah.
We didn't quite know precisely what we want, except we knew from the first day that we want to be between software and mathematics, and we want to bring the best practices and the tools from the software world to the quantitative world. Because of my background, originally that meant more quant finance things.
Yeah.
But then the data science revolution happened, and we realized that everything we have been working for and looking at is one-on-one applicable to the data science world as well, to analytics as well. So it was a very easy transition for us mentally from quant models to analytics models.
So how did analytics ops come to your mind? Which is obviously, I know it's a fold from analytics itself, but still, how did that happen? And what was the journey from analytics to analytics ops? And how did it change for the company completely?
It did indeed. It changed a lot actually for us because I said my co-founder he's a computer scientist. Okay. So he brings the decades of experience of best practices in software. And when we started working together, originally we were working as consultants with the vision that we want to become a product company at some point. And he was appalled, to be honest. He was really shocked how poorly the software processes made their way to the quantitative disciplines. And that was the driver. We wanted to remedy that. And specifically for analytics ops, as consultants, we participated in building something in-house for a customer.
Yeah.
For bringing R to production for an insurance company. And of course, well, they were building something themselves, and it's super, super special for their requirements. But it triggered something in us that, okay, this is a great idea. It's really missing. We should do something about it.
Exactly.
And that's how the name ownR actually still refers to R. We have come a long way since then. We support also Python. Our products support also Python and Julia now. But the name reflects the history that at the time, actually, nobody really was using Python in data science either. And R was just breaking out from the academics to the real world. And there was very little thought given to operationalization. How do you bring these brilliant models that you have built to actual operations? Wow. And then a lot of things happened. As you know, the DevOps in the software world.
Yes, definitely.
Python exploded, and data science in general exploded into something much bigger than it was 10 years back. From where a lot of brilliant tools came, like MLOps tools.
Right, exactly.
Which is a beautiful word of its own, if you are seriously in machine learning. But most companies and most real-life applications are not that. They are simpler models, smart automation, dashboards, a lot of low-hanging fruits. But nobody talks about operationalizing those. So there is this huge gap between low-code, easy-to-use dashboard tools and MLOps, which is like the pinnacle technology-wise, and it's really a fantastic thing. But there is this enormous area between that is left totally alone. And we would like to change that. We would like to tell everybody out there who is not doing deep learning and who is not doing really fancy machine learning things, that they are still they are bringing value, and if they follow operationalization principles, they can bring a lot more value. And there is really, I can't imagine a single company who is not doing something already with the data. Everybody is doing something already in pockets, in departments who are doing fun things, which then don't get any support from the management, and they die. And meanwhile, those companies also look at deep learning and MLOps, and they freak out. That's a huge investment. That's a huge amount of work, and they miss out. They miss out on the journey between.
So basically, you guys are filling the gap between the data and the MLOps, and analytics is kind of sitting in between analytics ops, and you guys are just fitting it very well. So this is something which is a big market. I'm sure about that.
It's rapidly growing. It's rapidly growing. Back when we started building the ownR platform, most of the feedback we got was from data scientists and similar. Yeah, I'm happy on my laptop. Why would I have to operationalize? Why do I need this? But in the recent years, because people started using those models, suddenly these people find themselves being operational people instead of developers and modelers. They find themselves running the models instead of building them. And that's the pain. that's a horribly frustrating thing to do. I myself ended up in a department once back in my career, where we went from 80% building and 20% operations to 90% operations and 10% maintenance, and no building at all. Okay, and that's painful. That's something that's a fun. It's like the frog being cooked slowly. During the process, you don't feel bad at all, but then suddenly you find yourself in this position that is not what you were hired for and not what you want to do.
Yeah, it completely changes.
Yes, and that's because of operations. Because people not operationalizing the models. So suddenly all those who were telling us they are happy on their laptops, tinkering and making models and showing the company the value of those models, find themselves lacking the tools to bring those tools to the wider enterprise, to operations.
Yeah.
That's, of course, also what happened with MLOps. But MLOps is one specific area. And there is this whole continent next to it that is left alone.
So you guys are smart enough to tap that market and get yourself built in there. So quick question, and I was just curious about it. I have heard AnalyticsOps very rarely. Do you also have competitors in the market already?
Yeah, absolutely, yes. Although nobody uses the word AnalyticsOps, not even our competitors. So
okay.
I actually looked into it because I also, just like you, I heard it rarely, but I did hear it. So I researched it a little, and AnalyticsOps was introduced back 2016, 17.
Okay.
And in 2018, it was gaining attention, and then it disappeared completely. Like overnight, it just died. And I honestly don't know why, but I would like to change it. I would like to revive it. I would like everybody who is already doing it to know they are doing it. I would like these people to think about it. Everybody, all competitors or customers, those who have built it themselves, those who are building it for their customers. I want everybody to think, this is what we are doing. We are building analytics tools and we are operationalizing them. Hence, we are doing AnalyticsOps.
Yeah, I think, and definitely because you are in that market, you are actually having clients, you are actually working. So it is still alive. It's not somewhere where people, I think it's a tendency where people kind of overlook it, but do not understand the urgency and the actual usage of analytics and operations and how you guys are putting it together.
Very true, very true. And I think it suffers, at least partially, from language issues. Right? Because there is no AnalyticsOps as an expression, there is no definition for it, so people don't think about it. It's not the first thing they come to think of when they think of analytics.
Yeah.
It also comes to the question we got together on LinkedIn just this morning. I can't tell you what data science is. I can't tell you what analytics is. I have some idea what machine learning is, but that's because it's pretty well defined already. And we all of us in the data science community, we suffer from this. We don't know. We don't have the right definitions. We don't have the right expressions. We don't know how to speak about it.
Yeah.
And that limits us. That limits us in communication. It limits us in what can be achieved.
True.
And I see that my favorite example is in data engineering. When you look at the data pipeline, then you have the preparations of the data and making sure it comes from the right sources, it's clean, etc. So
true.
people who work with Spark and get you the data. Then you have the modeling and the work with the data itself. Let it be ML, DL, analytics, data science, name it whatever you want. And then you want to bring it to production. So you want to build the data product, and you want to operationalize it. And both the beginning and the end of this pipeline are referred to as data engineering. But they are two totally different principles and disciplines.
Right.
And because they are called the same thing, companies suffer hiring for the right role. People who take the job end up in the role they didn't want. That's just one example. AnalyticsOps for me is another.
Yeah. I think definitely it makes a lot of sense, David. We have a few questions, David, that are coming in. Actually, we have many questions. Actually, we have a very interesting questions from George. George Ferkin here. Hi, George. What are some of the current challenges that you are facing in AnalyticsOps?
What we are facing. Well, we are working on solving them, so not so many, luckily. What our customers face and why they chose our product or other products as well is operationalization. It's the problems of the analytics departments very often being on an island without any connection to IT, without technology connections and process connections to business.
Yeah.
And they end up in this island where they are doing fascinating things and they can't share them. And that's a horrible pain. It's because
exactly. George just brought that question up as well that you're answering. Do you also come into companies to do an evaluation and identify these challenges for them?
We try to do that in a more generic way. Just teach and preach. Talk about it on LinkedIn, talk about it on the Ravit Show, and try to get these people recognize that. One thing we have seen a lot is that analytics departments are not seen as product development departments. And that leads to neither of them, they're also not seen by themselves as that. They are also not seen by the business as a product offering department, nor by themselves, nor by IT. And we would like to change that. We would like that that these departments see themselves as a center for excellence, but also as a product center where they build data products that are then used by the whole enterprise, where they drive engagement. There are quite some great voices in that on LinkedIn as well. David Langer, for example, always talking about data literacy, wider than only the data scientists. That's the kind of voices we are also would love to be, like voice like David's.
Very true.
Because we would like to change the vision around the analytics departments.
Right. I think definitely that makes a lot of sense, and that kind of obviously shows how interestingly you cater the market. And also George mentions that analytics ops seems to be delivering something new and fill in that important gap between, obviously, like you said, the data and the ML ops, but there's a huge gap between that, and analytics ops is kind of filling in that gap. Also, there was an interesting question from Shruti Jain. Does data analyst sometimes only use Excel? I mean, for few jobs roles. Okay, wow, interesting question.
And the answer is definitely yes. As much as I personally would like to change that, Excel is a fantastic tool.
Yeah,
it suffers from being too good. Because everything is possible in it, people feel the urge to do everything in it. I love Excel as a front end. It's the best front end I'm aware of for tabular data. The problem starts when you start using it as a backend as well. Is it possible? Yes. Can you do fantastic things? Yes. Have I seen any company with sufficient processes that actually safeguard that? No. The moment you start building your models in Excel, you take on a lot of responsibilities that don't belong to you. Will you password protect your VBA code and your formulas? Are you sure that when you leave the company, somebody else will be able to pick it up? Will you meticulously document everything you were doing in a separate document? And will everybody know that this document exists because it's not linked to the Excel file? I'm personally a huge believer of high code, and moving the analytics to a high code environment. I know that it's a lot of work. I know that it's not a must. So don't get me wrong. I'm not starting to try start a flame war here. I know it's possible. I know it's possible to do all this in Excel. It's possible to do it in low code. What I miss in those tools is the best practices of software. Documentation, reproducibility, maintainability, easy handovers. And if you are taking your time to do those things, because it's possible, You can do that with Excel.
Yeah.
If you are one of those people who are doing that, by all means, please continue. Once you start doing that, you will realize you're doing a lot more work than learning high code and doing it in high code.
Yeah, very true.
So, can you do it? Yes. Is it a great starting point? Yes. It's a fantastic learning environment. But if you try to operationalize, if you scale it, you end up doing so much extra work that you could just as easily learn and do high code.
Interesting. Also, there was an interesting question from Vetlana. What tool set do you recommend to have available within organizations? Excel?
Yeah. First off, whatever you have talent pool for, whatever you can hire for, and whatever you have support for internally. My personal preferences are towards R, Python, and Julia, which is reflected in what we support in ownR and what ownR supports.
Yeah, exactly.
Clearly, I am biased towards those languages because I love those languages a lot. I have been using R for 16 years now, and R is 21 years old. So I'm not a very early adopter, but pretty early adopter in R. Been using Python for the last 4 or 5 years, and Julia for the last 1. And I love those tools. But if your company already has a great talent pool internally, or has access to a great talent pool in any specific language or tool, then choose the tool.
Okay.
If you are using high code, make sure that you have IT supported environments where you can work, and make sure instead of building shadow IT, that is, because put up your hand if you have never built shadow IT in your life. I can't. I have, and I have learned the faults of my way. I have improved, but I have built my own shadow IT tools. So what tools does a company need? Tools that support the analytics people in their development work, in their deployment, and in scaling. One of those tools, and one that, if I may, I will recommend here because the hand of every cent is turning towards themselves. It's ownR. ownR aims to do that exactly. To give an environment to anybody in an enterprise setting to have a IT supported environment where they can develop their work, where they can do their work, they can develop, and where they can create data products. Then they can deploy their own products as in an analytics as a service solution, and where the developers or IT can then scale it according to the needs of the organization. There are, of course, other tools out there. There are open source tools. There are competitors of ours as well. But that's the key. That's the key that I have to come back to. Develop in an IT supported environment, deploy in an IT supported environment, and scale in an IT supported environment. And make sure that your tools are available to those who want to use them. Don't become the bottleneck.
Right.
There is nothing more frustrating for your users than looking for insights and being told that you are on holidays and nobody else can run your models.
Oh my.
That just kills engagement. That drives it in the ground, and it never comes back again.
Very true.
They will not ask again. If you follow this advice, choosing ownR or choosing any other tool, and you bring your products, the data products you build, to your end users, they will show grateful. They will be grateful for it. They will show how much value they can generate with your product.
I think that sounds perfect. And also, what Lena was saying, that Julia is great, but not a lot of extensions. Obviously, it is upcoming. Another question that I had for you, David, was obviously, since we are talking a lot about ownR, why not you show us your platform and people can actually have a look at what you are actually talking about?
I would love that. I'm gonna share my screen real quick.
Yeah. Because looks like ownR is a platform where people would want to have a look at, and it could be interesting.
I hope so. Oh, yes. Infinity. I'm also showing you Infinity. As a mathematician, that's a very soft,
Yeah.
sweet spot of mine. Right.
Here we go.
Ravit, can you see the screen?
Yes, I can.
Brilliant. So this is how the ownR platform looks like once you have logged in. I'm going to start out with showing you one of the applications we have developed for a bank as a demo. This bank struggled because they were using Excel for their reporting processes, and they were not allowed to do that anymore because end-user computing was not allowed by the regulators. So we suggested that they could build a Python Dash application where Excel can be uploaded, so the data can be uploaded. The calculation is, the business logic is then in the backend in Python. It could be R or Julia as well, of course.
Yeah.
And then the end result is shown in the browser where they want to, then they can download the end results. It's a super simple currency converter. So you upload some numbers in various denoted in various currencies. You upload some exchange rates, and you get everything converted to euro because it's a euro using bank. To the technical audience, all the magic in the background is a pandas merge. So it's not a very complicated example, but it showcases what you can do.
Right.
So it's just a multi-tab Dash app. So anybody who was sitting there watching, if you know what Dash is, let's show the power of Dash to everybody who has used it or who hasn't. So you can upload an Excel file. You can, because we all know that Excel files you get from your data delivery often has the column names changed or not correct. So we actually added a possibility to change which column should be used. You upload another Excel file with the exchange rates, and the magic of a pandas merge happens in the background. This is super simple, but it shows a workflow. It shows what you can give to your end users.
Exactly.
Because they don't have to know Python. You give them a 5-minute demo, you show them this, and then you say, hey, if you notice an error because it should be 30,000 instead of 200, then lo and behold, just like in Excel, everything is fixed.
Wow.
But you can actually download the full audit trail.
Okay, that's interesting.
And you can actually, rather than in Excel, where nobody has any idea what the 30,000 was before it was fixed, and nobody has any idea that it was fixed, if you use a nice dashboard for it, a GUI for it, then you end up with an environment that, okay, this was uploaded, this was used, and something has been changed, and this is my output.
Yeah.
But I also have a change log. Watch out, this cell has been changed from this value to this value.
Yeah.
And
Can you just zoom it a bit?
I'm not sure. A second. I haven't used Excel for a long time, so you have to do it per tab. So you can see that it was changed, and you get the change log. This was the original value. This is the updated value.
Wow.
And you get the user information. Now this is possible in Excel, of course, as well. You can build all this in Excel.
Right.
But it's a lot of work. What you see here is less than 300 lines of code. The full backend and the full front end together is minimal. And what ownR adds to all that is that you only have to build your Dash app. But what you see here is a hosted application that's containerized, that's secure with a login. So I'm very happy I can't zoom into the URL, but I'm happy to share the URL with you guys because you will not see the application. You will be confronted with a login, and if you don't get rights, you don't get the application. So what ownR adds is an environment where you can deploy and where you can host your application securely and in a scalable manner. So if 1,000 people want to use this at the same time in your company, no worries. You can just scale it up.
Yeah, I think it is very useful in just under 300 lines of code, and you've just created something which is a masterpiece. And Suzanne here says the same thing. That is super cool. And Vetlana actually likes the UI for the end user because it is very easy to, we can just see it that easy, and everything is being tracked in the Excel. The output kind of looks very clear to me as well. So it is one fantastic platform.
Thank you. Note the ownR is as it says, it's an AnalyticsOps platform.
Okay.
You have to build the data product yourself. It's relatively easy, but you will have to do it yourself.
Okay.
Because there is nobody who knows your business, who knows your users as much as you do.
Very true.
What ownR does, it automates the deployment process for you. It automates the containerization process for you. It creates a fixed URL where you can host it. It gives you a Git repository where you can deploy your code. As you can see, no application, even a test application, doesn't work for the first time. So you can see all the historical versions.
Yeah.
And ownR lets you stay in control of your application without worrying about security.
Yeah.
Without fighting with IT. And without becoming the operational bottleneck. Because you built your model, and let's say it's not as simple as a pandas merge. It's a huge model, and it works. Adding a GUI to it is just 200 lines of code. So rather than asking for your users to send you an Excel file, then uploading it, running the code yourself, then making a data dump and sending it back in email, why not give them a GUI where they can upload the data themselves? They can change some of the parameters themselves.
Yeah.
And as I told you, I love Excel still as a front end. So one nice thing is the backend of this web app I showed you is also running on ownR as an API endpoint. So in ownR, you can also deploy API endpoints, not just dashboards and not just GUIs.
Wow.
So the same backend is also shown here. Also that deployed as an API. And now that I know I can zoom in, I will show you this real quick.
Yeah.
So this is an Excel front end for the same backend.
Okay.
You will recognize the same exposures with the currency. You will recognize the same exchange rates.
Yeah, exactly. Wow,
and what happens here is there is a very, 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 very tiny VBA wrapper that you can look at as an add-on that calls the API in the ownR platform. So when you change something, in Excel, and this is now actual Excel, if you change something, it changes just like Excel works.
Wow.
But on the back end, there is no business logic inside the Excel sheet. So you don't have to worry about your user changing it and introducing an error. You don't have to worry about security of it. You don't have to worry that you update your Excel sheet, but everybody else in the company is using the old version. Because they only have a front end. And you remain in control of your model, which is serving as a back end.
Right.
Plus, just to show you, because I think it's really cool, you also can actually watch what happens in this API. So you get a lot of audit trail and control over it. Just to show the audience I'm not cheating, if I change the result to 500, then you will see that the number of process requests went from 2 to 3 because it just processed it. And you can actually zoom in and you can see what was uploaded, what was the result, what was the runtime. So this is also ownR doing this for you. And you don't have to write the API yourself. You only write your Python code or your R code or your Julia code.
Mhm.
And you don't have to write the boilerplate code to create an API. You can just deploy it to ownR, and ownR will containerize it, will generate the API for you. It will create a very nice dashboard where you can look at your API calls and how your APIs are doing.
Yeah.
And it will let you integrate with Excel. It will let you integrate with a mobile app if your company has a mobile app.
Right.
It will let you integrate with a website. It will let you integrate with anything practically.
Very true.
So it lets you build data products even if you don't want to build front end.
Mm-hmm.
You can just simply deploy your functions, deploy your code, deploy your notebook, recent addition to ownR.
Mm-hmm.
Deploy your notebook, have an API generated for it, and give an Excel front end to your users.
Wow.
One example, and then
Yeah,
we
sure,
can go into
please.
questions. But
We,
one
I
example,
think I
I
think we're
recently,
enjoying this. David,
brilliant.
go on.
I
Yeah.
was recently discussing with a huge retailer, like one of the biggest of the world.
Yeah.
And they were talking to us about operationalization because they had a workflow where the marketing and the sales departments were asked for their opinion for a new product. What kind of marketing and pricing scenarios do you guys foresee? And they got, say, 3 scenarios from these departments. And then they run these 3 scenarios through their models, and they came back with results. If you follow this scenario, this is our forecast for sales. If you follow that scenario, this is our forecast for sales.
Mm-hmm.
And I was flabbergasted. So why do you limit yourself to 3 scenarios? And why do you run the models yourself? Deploy the model as an API, create an Excel front end, and put these people into a room, the marketing and the sales guys, and let them play. Wait, I have an idea. What if we do that? Let them play and let them create scenarios in whatever creativity they can imagine. And let them run your models every time they come up with something new. And you will see wonders. You will see wonders if you empower your users. And also, you will get rid of all the operational work, which is
very true,
even more boring and horrible than data cleaning.
So true.
One last example.
Yeah.
Well, it takes a while to load, so we can maybe come back to questions. I love this shiny plugin which lets you do this while it's loading.
Yeah. Also, okay. We'll take one question till the time it kind of loads. Svetlana is asking: is there a built-in CM, or this has to be built on top?
A CM?
I don't know about what CM means here. Okay, Svetlana, you can let us know about the CM.
Please, and meanwhile, let me show you this.
Yeah,
I was participating in a hackathon, a sport data analytics hackathon, about marathon runs.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned out, thanks to the help of one of the guys in the team, that one of the issues they are facing is congestion. There is a worry when you are organizing marathons that there is too many people in the same place, and it becomes unsafe for the runners. So they had data, and we were looking at how to visualize the data so that the organizers can step in if there is a problem with congestion.
Mm-hmm.
And because R lets you, we created this animation you can see here.
Yeah.
Which actually led to us winning the analytics, the hackathon. Wow. Because it's a mic drop. It's a mic drop moment.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Right? You show the animation, and people are like, wow, you can do that. Minimal amount of R code again, but the end user was a foundation organizing marathons. They don't know R.
Wow. Exactly.
So we put together this shiny app. The whole hackathon was 6 hours. So everything you see here is the result, including business analysis, talking to the customer, coming up with a data viz, making it animated, and putting a shiny app on top of it. Can be done in a couple of hours. So don't think it's huge. So we let them say, you can choose. We give them a GUI, and suddenly they don't have to run the R code themselves, and we are creating a data product.
Yeah.
Instead of just an analysis.
Very true. And Vetlana did say that is there a built-in configuration management is what she meant, or this has to be built on top?
The configuration management. I'm letting Svetlana down here, I'm afraid, because I still don't know what she precisely means. I can show you what is built in, and I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, that would be helpful. Yes.
So what is built in is ownR. I will just walk you through the whole process. So in ownR, you start with creating a new application. Let's make it Ravit dashboard.
Okay, fantastic.
You choose a programming language.
Okay.
These are the ones currently we support. The currently ownR supports.
Yeah.
These are the application types ownR supports. So I'm going to choose a web application.
Yes.
And I'm going to just create it. And start it, because I'm going to show you right away. Now, under the hood, a lot of magic happened. A Git repository has been created, dedicated to this application inside the ownR platform. So this is not GitHub. It's not public. It's inside the platform. When you are hosting your own ownR platform in your own company's environment, this is yours. Nobody gets access to it if you don't want it. There is a container created where the correct Python version is deployed. Right now, it's only one, but you could scale it up to multiple with a load balancer on top. So if you have a lot of users. And it's being deployed, so we can actually go back later. We can come back to it later. It takes a while to deploy because it's a big dashboard. It's the default Plotly dashboard, and it takes a second to deploy. So what you can configure in the ownR platform is Python version, the type of the application. You can deployment targets, so you can limit what subnetwork you deploy to if you have multiple subnetworks in the cloud. How many replicas of the container you want run, so you can scale up and down. You can mount points. So storage like S3 buckets and similar. You can define environment variables, which will be accessible to the application. You can choose which version of the application should be running once you have a history. You can manage which applications get access to the application.
Right.
And you can see the logs of what's happening in the application. If you require configuration beyond that, you will have to do it in the data product yourself. But if it's something that is difficult for a data scientist, let us know and we will put it on our backlog. Many of the features you see here are coming from us ourselves also being users of ownR platform. So when I'm helping a customer, I'm also using the ownR platform. And whenever I hit a wall, whenever I need help from my software colleagues, that is a missing feature. Because the goal of the ownR platform is to enable the data scientists, the analytics professionals, the analysts, the quants, the actuaries, everybody who is working with data, to be self-sufficient. Automate everything that is not part of our core daily work. So I have a confession to make. I love containerized microservices-based architecture, but I can't write my own code. I can't build my own Docker image because I got lazy because ownR actually automates that for me completely.
Everything, yes.
So I never had to learn that. Of course, there are a lot of organizations where even if you do learn it, you're not allowed to do it. IT security regulations and requirements, regulations from the external regulators. In all those cases, ownR automation can also be valuable, even if you do know how to build your own Docker container, because you may not be allowed to build it or deploy it yourself.
Yeah.
But in my case, the philosophy was, and in all data scientists in our company, the philosophy is you focus on building the best model and the best data product you can.
Mhm.
and let ownR automate everything else.
Awesome.
That's it.
Also,
So
also
I'm
there
gonna
was
stop sharing for now, and we can go back to the.
yeah,
We can come back to this
but
later.
I think definitely ownR is fantastic, and people
Thank you.
felt that as well. Larry Lathrop here said, David Kun, it is great to hear the passion in your voice as you discuss ownR. This is really cool product. So yeah, people
Thank
know
you,
it
Larry.
is.
Thank you.
It is one of the most unique product and a great platform. Definitely, David. ownR is very unique name, and then just being a single alphabet like R, it is easy to remember and nice features. So
Thank you.
fantastic. I think this is superb. David, a quick question from my end. So what if you would want to give one big challenge that you had while you were building up this ownR platform, what was it?
The biggest challenge was at the time getting people appreciate the need.
Mm.
Again, a lot of data scientists thought, and I think maybe a lot of them still think, in that sitting in an ivory tower is an option. Building your models for yourself, for your own enjoyment. It's a lot of fun. I will give you that. I love playing with data in my own free time, and I love doing things because it's fun.
Yeah.
But if it's your job,
you need it.
then
you need it to be automated. You need it to be very fast, and exactly
you need to be operationalized. Yes, you need to bring it to your users to add value.
Very true. Okay, that is definitely one of the biggest challenges. I know it would be where you want to make the people learn about the need for that platform, and that would be the biggest challenge for any business and any product, but a great one there, David. And also there was a quick question from Neeraj Satpal here. David Khan, what's your take on analytics as a service? What would be its pros and cons?
It's a brilliant question, and I must say I can't think of a lot of cons, to be honest. I can think of a lot of pros. Driving engagement is a very big problem in analytics, even today. You create fantastic insights, and they fall on deaf ears. Nobody cares. Is feedback we hear from data scientists and analytics professionals.
Yeah.
And one reason, not the only, maybe not even the major, but one reason that can be solved with technology is the lack of analytics as a service. Is the lack of data products that let the end user interact with the analytics themselves. Let them play with the model, let them play with the insights you are generating. Deliver them in an easy to use and comfortable manner, and you will see engagement skyrocket. And analytics as a service is the vehicle for that. It's the vehicle for bringing everything that's analytics. And I told you in the beginning of the show, Ravit, I wouldn't dare to try to define what analytics is, what it encompasses.
Right.
I can give you examples, but it's not exhaustive.
Right.
But whatever you are doing that you consider analytics as a service will improve on it. It will let your end users create value themselves, building on the value you have built.
Right. And also there was an interesting question, since we are talking about analytics here. Tejas Puttur had a question. Is there anything you would have done differently if you had the chance to restart your analytics career?
My career? Oh, yes,
yeah,
definitely.
Your journey, basically.
My journey, yes, definitely. As I confessed already, I am guilty of all the worst practices you can imagine. Being in an ivory tower and not caring about my end users, building shadow IT, and doing things under the table where I knew IT doesn't approve it.
Yeah.
Think of the R installation that doesn't need to be installed, but you can just copy it. And so you can start it running on laptops where you're not supposed to. I'm not giving ideas to anybody who is doing this right now. Please don't follow this. This is my guilty conscience talking.
Yeah.
I was really lucky very early in my career, thanks to my connection with my co-founder Greg. I was taught about the errors I'm making. I was taught about the best practices in software, who also faced all these problems just 30 or 40 years ago.
Okay.
And there are so many lessons there to learn, directly applicable to analytics. And in spite of having this connection and having a great mentor in this area, I still have committed a lot of these sins. So one thing I would change is trying to have a more open ear on both sides. On one side towards business, to the users, and on the other side towards IT, and try to find out why they are saying no, and learn about it earlier, and learn about processes and best practices and the importance of that. It would have saved countless hours of my own work and a lot of frustration. It would have saved embarrassing errors. I'm not gonna reiterate those on the show because, as I said, they are embarrassing. Probably they would have saved euros to my employers as well.
Right.
So that's the one thing I would have changed. Open ears, 2 ways. Think of that always 2 ways. Business and IT, both, you need to hear them.
So basically understanding the two sides of a coin is very important. It's not just about just one side. Keep it open and be open to all the things which have been said in terms of IT and the other thing
and
as
business.
well.
Yes, as analytics professionals, we are in a unique position to be bridges.
Right. Be that bridge. Yes, definitely.
You look at the post of Kees Groeneveld on LinkedIn. He's leading the analytics translator group. I already love the word analytics translator because it highlights our role, that we connect people, we connect tools, we connect data and people, every combination possible. We are bridge builders and we are connectors.
Right. Very true. And I think that definitely makes sense. Okay. It was, since we are coming to an end, I would want to ask one question that obviously our audience will be curious to know. If people want to reach out to you, if they want to learn about ownR, if they want to learn about functional analytics, which is the best place to reach out to you, David? It was fantastic talking to you, but would love to keep this going. And if the audience would love to reach out to you, what's the best place?
Functionalanalytics.nl is our website where you can book a demo. You can read a lot about ownR. You can also follow me on LinkedIn because I talk a lot about AnalyticsOps and not only ownR related, but also in general.
Okay. So this is the website where they can reach out?
Yes. At the top, you will see a book demo button.
Okay.
Feel free to book a demo, please. And read more about us. Reach out on LinkedIn. Follow me on LinkedIn.
Awesome. I think that would be great. And it was a fantastic session. Great to learn about AnalyticsOps, about ownR, about analytics, and about your journey, David. Thanks for being on the show. It was such a pleasure having you. And thanks to everyone who's joined in and asked amazing questions. There were many more questions, David. You can have a look at them. You can go and answer them in the chat. They'll be in my chat, in my post. So please feel free to answer them. And if people have any questions, they can reach out to David. He'll be happy to answer.
Absolutely. Please.
Awesome.
Thank you again, Ravit. Thank you very much.
Okay, David. See you soon. Have a great weekend ahead.
You too. Thank you. Bye.